Hey, yeah, you. Hope you're not on heart medication because it's time for another fun infusion. Come on, whose radio station couldn't benefit from a little more fun? I'm Jeff, the radio DJ dude, and I just stumbled out of the radio laboratory as I've been tinkering with this brand new fun radio feature. It's called First Hit. And because, come on, I'm always thinking about sweet little old you, I've got 3 ways for you to pull this off, ranging from super easy to cool custom.
We are on the air.
Here's the deal. On my all 80s powerhouse Triple X 80s, I'm always looking for new ways to jam in some unexpected fun moments, fun features. And I'm always on the hunt for new ways to, play old music. So this segment popped up, and come on, at its heart, it's pretty simple. It's a way to introduce a group or an artist's very first hit single and, provide a little fanfare, make a bit out of it. But why am I describing it? Take a listen.
Nothing like first times.
Like your first wardrobe malfunction. Here's this band's first 80s hit.
Good times and great 80s.
First 80s hit.
Triple X 80s.
Like I said, I have 3 versions. That is the generic presentation of the first 80s hit bit. If we nudge it up a notch, we get version 2, which incorporates the actual release year of the single.
Nothing like first times.
Like your first house fire from using a 100-watt bulb in your sister's Easy Bake Oven. Here comes this artist's first 80s hit.
Good times and great 80s.
First 80s hit.
Triple X 80s.
1987.
And to really rock this to the highest level, it involves a little more work. But come on, at the end of the day, it's your sound. And, those first impressions matter. If someone is stumbling upon your station for the first time and they hear something like this, I think that elevates your station to a whole nother class.
Nothing like first times.
October 6, 1982, the Queen of Pop was born. Well, that's not the day she popped out of the womb, but that is the day Madonna's first hit single dropped. It was called Everybody.
Good times and great 80s.
First 80s hit.
Triple X 80s.
It gives off a much more polished, refined, and professional sound. And I know inherent in the name is 80s, first 80s hit, but it really doesn't matter. Sure, perfect for decade-based radio stations. This could work for any station because listeners love fun little tidbits about their favorite artists. So this is just another way to deliver more value to your listeners. Not only play them their favorite music, but drop little fun Easter eggs along the way. And anytime you can delight with the unexpected is a huge win for your station. Before we get into the nuts and bolts of each style, we have to set some ground rules first. To pull off any of those styles, you need to do a little work on your music library. You have to tell your radio playout software which song actually is to be designated a first hit. And that does take a little time, but you only do that once, and then this is a bit that could run for a long time. And there's no one way to do this. How I've chosen to pull this off using the very free, very awesome radio playout software called RadioDJ. In my track setting information, I've used some of these fields that are irrelevant to me. I mean, I don't need copyright, I don't need label. So I've repurposed those, and I've chosen to use the label information field as a way to designate songs as first hits. So I'm filling that field with the word first. Now, pick a word that works for you. Pick a field that works for you. It's just a way to get that information in your music library's database. So identifying and flagging all those first hits is step 1. Now we can jump over and I can show you how to pull off each version of this bit. And up first, we'll start with the easy, generic approach. At its core, this is just a production element to kind of tee off the feature, followed by a generic voiceover track, which has a first-time theme to it. And then that production element wraps up with the feature name and then station name.
First 80s hit.
X 80s.
But if you even want to strip this down more, cut the voiceover out. Just produce a suitable feature production element that mentions, the feature name, which actually provides a little context that you're going to hear the very first hit single from a band or group. It's really key that your listeners quickly understand the purpose of the feature.
Like growing your first glorious mullet. Here's this artist's first 80s hit.
I think adding that first time theme voiceover is just a fun little perk that, once again, listeners are not expecting. And this generic version is powered by a very simple SQL query that I plug into my rotations. And it looks like this. As you can see, we're selecting the produced opening production element, then that loads the voiceover, then that kind of loads the production outro, and then that tees up the song. And a couple things are going on in this query, but the key piece of code in here is right down here where it's saying, but only select songs that are designated as first in the label section of your songs database. So as code goes, that's pretty simple. And I know you could copy and paste your way to success with that. And if you're interested, well, check out the description. I have a link for you to pick all this code up for the rock bottom price of free. Okay, let's dial up the intensity and jump to version 2. So very similar to version 1, all we've added is the release year that single came out in.
1985.
And as with the first version, you can either choose to run it with voiceover or nix the voiceover and just let the pre-produced, feature open, handle all the details, and then jam that year in towards the end of the production element. And don't feel this is the only way to pull this off. Take this ball and run with it. Come up with your own ideas. Put your own fresh spin on this idea. As we hop over to the code to see how we make this happen on air, this is just another SQL query in one of my rotations, and it is a little more complex because we have to tell RadioDJ which year production element to pull to match it with the actual release year of the selected song. So this is the code I used to pull that off. If you look to the top, it's using the set piece of code to set the year based on the song's year, because when it comes time to load up the year production element, like 1985, it's taking that year data from the song and then loading the appropriate production element that also has that same year data in it. And I put that year information in those year production elements right in the year field over in track info. And once again, in the song portion of the query, you see the label has to equal first, guaranteeing that we're hearing the first hit from this artist. If you think you can handle the intensity, we're gonna kick it all the way up to 10, baby. So the super cool custom approach sounds a little something like this.
Nothing like first times.
Released in August 1983, Howard Jones' first hit was New Song. This debut single hit number 3 on the UK singles chart and launched Hojo's very successful music career.
Good times and great 80s.
First 80s hit.
X 80s.
As for production value, that's the 5-star approach. That really goes all the way. You're providing tremendous value. You're actually giving listeners some fun facts, some cool tidbits about the music that they love. And yeah, that does require a little work, but technology's always on our side these days. I have a ChatGPT prompt I'm going to share with you. This is what I use to quickly and easily generate this artist information. So after the bots do most of the hard work, yeah, I make some tweaks, I do some edits on the copy. Then I jump over to Audacity and I record the voiceover, hit it with some audio processing to make sure the voice pops when it's on the air, and then head back to RadioDJ to program it in the system. Now put on your hard hats, because this code was not as easy to come by as the first 2 versions. This code was quite honestly the slog. It was a lot of push and pull with ChatGPT. Just look at my chat history. This thing did not come out of the chute easily. It took a lot of back and forth, probably over an hour's worth, to come up with a piece of code that actually worked. And just to underscore, I am a coding dummy. So if I can do this, you can do it. You just have to have enough confidence to jump online and get your feet muddy in the coding arena, even though you don't feel comfortable there. because the bots are on your side. As long as you could clearly articulate your goals and give them enough information to go on, provide some previous sample SQL queries to work off of so they kind of understand the mechanism of the RadioDJ database, and you'll be amazed at your result. So I urge you all just to have fun with this, because even like 2 years ago, I wouldn't be able to pull off 60% of the features that I'm running at XXX80s if it weren't for this coding assistance provided by the bots. So this is the code that made this custom feature possible. And in it, we're first setting the artist based on the custom voiceover. And this particular code has a fallback option too. So if there is not a custom voiceover for a particular artist, or maybe my rotation rules have timed out, it won't allow me to play a song from a custom artist pertaining to this bit, then it knows to load one of my generic voiceovers that you heard in the first example up. But when it can pull a custom artist voiceover, then it aligns that artist down here in the song part of the query with the artist chosen in the voiceover. So the song then matches the artist of that custom voiceover above it. But thankfully, you don't have to know how this works line by line. You just have to have great dexterity in your copy and paste skills. Because yes, all this code is available for free. Check out the link in the description. But I think you do yourself a service by kind of analyzing some of the simpler queries at first, just to get a basic understanding of the workings of what this code is doing behind the scenes. And if you are going to roll this custom voiceover option, make sure you launch the bit with enough custom voiceovers, in your queue, because nothing worse for a listener to hear the same 2 artists every time this feature comes up. I'd at least want to launch with 10 to 12 separate custom voiceover queues, just to make this interesting. And using that ChatGPT prompt, knocking out the scripts for this stuff shouldn't be that difficult. And yes, that prompt is also included in the link for free. So best of luck banging this one out, and please let me know if this sparked an idea and you maybe thought, well, that's kind of a novel idea, playing a first hit, but it makes me think of this way to use it, because we always love to hear fresh takes. So if you come up with a fresh way to use this code, maybe take it in a new direction, well, please let us know in the comments below. I'm Jeff, the Radio DJ Dude, and I so love our time together. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. And if you got a minimum of 6% enjoyment out of this video, it would cause me sheer delight to receive a like and a subscribe from sweet little old you. Thank you so much. And until our next little radio rodeo, you keep rocking those mics all over the world.